Okay, so today's video is for Peggy Sue. So firstly, thanks for donating, Peggy Sue, so that this video could be produced. I'm Benjamin Cowenberg from www.consciousazine.com, and today's video is called Why Plant Plants with Crystals. So why do we want to put crystals in our garden? So today we're on the reference index back page of Your Natural Paradise page, which is a front page in consciousazine and has a lot of edible flowers and edible plants on there. So there's lots going on this page. So how do I get to here, you say? Well, you come to the front page of consciousazine.com. Just click on the more menus. I have to actually hover away and then go back over it, and then I use my mouse just to go down, and you'll find Your Natural Paradise right near the bottom. And then once you're on this Your Natural Paradise page, every page, front page in consciousazine, has a reference index, a next page, there's nothing on there yet but there will be soon, and a notes page. You've seen me use the notes page a lot in this $30 Bandit food plant teaching series. So today we're on the reference index page, and part of this discussion is actually discussing, the golden age on Gaia, on our planet, and the so-called golden crystal age. Now apparently, it even says in the Bible there will be 1,000 years of, what does it say? I can't remember the exact wording now, but it says there'll be a 1,000-year period of like peace and loveliness. And I think it's other people, New Age hippies particularly, if you will, who have monikered it and titled it the Golden Crystal Age or the Golden Age. And it's mainly New Age hippie type of people that I've heard talk about this, pretty much stand alone, just them. And I do see something to this, and I do remember the Bible. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember and I don't know for sure, but I'm sure it says something about, I'm pretty sure it says something about a 1,000 years of peace or something. That's generally what we're discussing here. It's said to be the same sort of period, people tried to correlate it. Now whether that's exactly correlative or not, to me doesn't really matter a whole huge deal, because I can see that the tones are active. For instance, that we'll be using gold as ormus drink, or white monoatomic gold, and we'll be realizing that gold is the spiritual alchemical substance on Earth and of Earth. It's the spiritual substance of Earth, and it can enhance our blood's alchemical superconductive properties when we take this monoatomic gold. And the Egyptians even used to fast on it for 40 days, and I can say from experience, I had 2 different lots of this stuff and they made the mixture differently, but the first lot I had kept my Eye of Horus tingling for at least half an hour. It had colloidal silver, Celtic sea salt and white monoatomic gold. Now that was the good batch. Then I went and ordered some online, this ormus, and it just wasn't as good. I ordered it from the Sunshine Coast up north where I used to live, and off the website, and it just wasn't as good as the one I got for free off this girl that I was seeing at the time. And her friend brewed it, and he must have been good, and the one I got online was just a whole lot weaker. I felt the same little tingle right in the pineal, and in the center of the Eye of Horus, and or the crystal room as the Taoists call it, you see. So you got the golden and crystal relevance coming in, because you in the microcosmic orbit you actually see a golden light entering your third eye, and this creates the golden elixir on the top of the tongue, the palate. And you know, this is a sort of longevity thing, and it's good for creating positive energy and enzymes, which you'll then swallow, and you know, it's used to help clear the lymph system. So you can see the golden and crystal age resonance coming about. You know, we're figuring out how to use gold, that we shouldn't just sit on it. It's not just some substance to barter with. It's like I've already mentioned, we can use it in other ways. And you know, the Taoists call this upper mud ball, the upper sort of room there near the Tan Chen, and the Ni Wan, the third eye. You know, they call this whole Eye of Horus area, that diagram of the Egyptian Eye of Horus, the crystal room. And I believe we will be using this more and more now that we've entered the golden crystal age, or the golden crystal resonance, I'll call it. And it's a convalescent period, like the Bible supposedly says. Convalescence is a gradual sort of recovery from this hangover of history. Now, history was, you know, doing many things, but in one way it was creating a separation, sort of hyperspatial entity at the end of history, I call it, the ego. And it's the concentric development of consciousness has led us to this third dimensional viewpoint, and I believe we can take that ego and internalize it, and it might well be what becomes the id, the steward of the light body. Now, so you can start to see all this falling together. For instance, DMT is a crystal, and the most powerful hallucinogen we know of, milligram effective, just like Salvia divinorum, but it's a little bit more powerful apparently. I haven't had it yet, but it does look very powerful. So apparently DMT is the world's most powerful hallucinogen, and you know, it's a crystal too. You can just smoke it in crystal form. You don't have to take it in ayahuasca in the drink. That's the long release DMT trip, but you can have a 5-minute DMT trip when you just smoke it. And you only need 1 or 2 cones, if you can make it to the second one. So, you know, there's all this relevance that we're learning how to use crystals, you know, for quantum computing and all that, in relevance to the golden crystal age. So I've got a page here where I sort of did mention that stuff. It's another page in consciousazine. I mentioned some stuff like, you know, 1,000-year journey of the golden age begins with a single step, growing your own food. That's part of the New Earth program, bottom-up approach too, obviously. And it's funny that, you know, when sometimes in visions you cross a gold chrysanthemum, this golden mandala, and it's like a golden flower, and it's a 6-dimensional sacred geometrical archetype, I presume, or template, and it's this mandala, and other people have mentioned seeing this and then crossing into visions. And so, you know, all this envisionment, all this talk of crystal children, the crystal children will save the world, the indigo crystals, well, I'm one of those. Look at me, save the world. No, but, you know, it's said that the crystals are coming, and I made a video about that, and I believe it's just relevant to the upper Danjen out of Taoism being active, or the Eye of Horus, or the third eye. This crystal room being, making you crystal clear. It gives you crystal clear insight, or clairvoyant insight. You become a psychic medium and all that, you know. And this is really the last place of parsing. P-A-R-S-I-N-G, from computer science, the idea of parsing, say, an integer into a string value. This is what happens in our brain, because the gut, if you look at Taoist philosophy, you can intuit a lot of this from there. For instance, the lower Danjen is said to get Jing, which is dark sort of universal energy, make it into Kui, and then, you know, the heart makes Kui, energy into Shen, and then the crystal room is making Shen into Wuji. So there's a process of passing, however you want to look at it, but the way I look at it is in that way, passing of energy. P-A-R-S-I-N-G, it means to pass the value, like you can pass a a decimal 10.1 and get information loss and pass it to an integer, a whole value of 10, from 10.1 to 10. That's an example of passing in computer science when we build a program, which I do. So you know, all this stuff sort of connects up, but for me also you've got the passing of, you know, energy into English, into your social dictionary, into your little Merriam-Webster dictionary in your head, you know, which passes what that guy over there is trying to say to you into your language and what you've picked up from the world in your brain schemata. So this is a page on the Golden Crystal Age. There's some stuff going on there, some talk. For instance, I guess this is important to say, it's not indigo or crystal. The indigo process leads to the crystallization. So you can look into that. I've written some stuff there about that, but pretty much as I just said it then. So this article was just like some article where I don't believe they really know what they're talking about, and I've just sort of summarized over it in one sentence. So now there's a note here. Now this is an important part which I might read in a minute. Well, actually let's read it now. All rise to the Golden Crystal Age resonance. This is written out by a riser from Goldring Game of Enlightenment and Abundance. It's also funny that I think at the Grand Genesis Singularis 16 billion or 20 billion year cycle that of becoming, cycle 1 of becoming, from reaction to creation we are now moving. I think it's funny that this gold ring halo on Earth has sprung about. You know, it's like Earth has woken up. People saying, oh, there's a great awakening going on. Yeah, that's not you awakening. Your ego is being, awakened, you know, by the influx of this higher light, and all the chakras are being flown over with white light. But it's just funny that the gold, you know, Earth sort of becomes fully godhooded, if you will, and fully a protean sort of form, and fully awakened, and gets a halo. And there's a guy called Riser who's made this whole series, the Gold Ring Game of Enlightenment and Abundance, and I mean, it is ever so zeitgeistial. It is definitely the spirit of the times. So all this stuff connects for me, and I think I've got the opportunity to give a unique viewpoint. So that's why I'm doing this all in one video here today, and putting it in the Food Plant Teaching series just because it's relevant to why plant your plants with crystals. But I'm also going to throw this lecture just in the consciousazine playlist as a philosophical lecture. Philosophical glad flying. The keepers of the flame empower gold and golden light with the intention of bringing forth a change within the system. Gold demands honor as it is the sacred substance of spirit within earth. Gold works for the blood energy of the human body. It acts as a superconductor between cellular, genetic, and spiritual cosmic energy for alchemical healing. In the silence, the keepers of the flame have held onto the golden light and have watched the misuse of physical gold as it has been possessed. The quantity of gold that you hold is not important, as the earth knows its children by their blood energy signature. The reign of terror that has been forced upon these weakened by fear is that condition of the population guided by ignorance. When the truth comes, then there will be the awakening to the golden light. The galactic golden doorway is open. The ones who have waited for and found the portal open may enter into the golden light of enlightenment an alignment with higher expression and oneness with ascended beings of light. There are ones who have slept and not listened to the ancient stories of this coming revelation. The transition from the Black Age has seen greed, lust, fear, violence, death, conflict and secrecy. Oil and coal burns with the smoky fire of power and confusion. It has shielded the higher light and left the children of light soiled and poisoned by the taint of the filth covering of matter over light. The Black Age has brought to humanity a time where the race has tested and tempered skill, talent, desire, courage and wisdom. On the game board of life, some members of humanity have chosen to attract dense desires and fight against the life of the flow. They are a black alliance, a cult of death in dark contrast to the path of golden light. The way showers have come. The way showers have come to be messengers of the white light that moves with the flow of light. From this day you shall now see the end of the Black Age, for the ones who dwell in secrecy can no longer hide from the truth and expansion of the universe. The opening of the golden doorway allows each being to be presented with the wealth and abundance of intelligence and wisdom, guarded by compassion and devotion to become realized within the framework of the divine. I just want to finish that before I just say, so this is where I've taken some of the text from that I'm about to go through on the reference index page. But I just wanted to quickly show you this page because, you know, I came into all this by well, I've removed the note. Sorry, I had a note on here which I've put on the Genesis Singularis page, and on the Genesis Singularis page now there is my note there. I think it's I've forgotten what it's called, but it's a big long note, and it used to be on my page, but now it's on the Genesis Singularis page. And how I stumbled upon all this was through much research, but I found a few different things in the end that stood out. For instance, Dr. Kalaman's Mind Conscious Pyramid, the Pyramid of Consciousness by Dr. Kalaman. Let's just see if we can go there. No, hold on, let me connect the internet. Okay, so here is that page, and I go into the Grand Genesis Singularis cycle on here. There's a good picture of some sort of time as well. Anyway, in the bottom of this page is this note here, note 5, the change times note. And so I found the Mayan Pyramid of Consciousness by Dr. Kalaman, and I thought, oh yeah, that's interesting. But then I found things like the Kali Yuga. I'm just trying to find that pyramid, and I think it just hasn't loaded because the crappy internet. Alright, here we are, it finally loaded, this Stone Age internet. And I mean, it's not funny. Why are we subjecting ourselves to this? We need to be putting all our money into renewable energies, the internet, space flight. Instead, we're putting it towards fossil fuels, sport, and a gamut of other shit things to be wasting our time on. And don't come crying to people like me who realise this when it all, well, it is now starting to turn into chaos around you. Anyway, so the way showers are like beacons of light because we can see what's going on, and we are the sphere of understanding, not the surface area of ignorance. Anyway, here's the Pyramid of Consciousness by, I think, Dr. Kalaman. I'm not sure if this is that one by him. There is another one I've seen, so hopefully I didn't just misreference it. But here's one anyway. I found also another one, actually two others I think. No, one other one. But this one was good. It looked good, how it was working. So how's this? You got cellular cycle, mammalian, familiar cycle, tribal, cultural, national, planetary cycle, galactic cycle, which was 360 days long, and the universal co-creation cycle, and that was coming around in 2011 according to this guy. Now, according to this chart, there was another one where I saw that they didn't leave out 2012, and 2012 actually had a really small cycle in it, even smaller than the 2011 galactic cycle, which was the real universal cycle, in the middle of 2012. Now, this is just, I don't know what this has all got to do with. It must be some form of like astrology, since it's Mayan, astrolatry, star relations, not star worship. Astrolatry, the word means. I'm redefining that word. Anyway, I saw things like this and I thought, oh yeah, interesting. I can see all this sort of stuff going on in the world. I can see these dynamics playing out. Then I found things like the Satya Yuga, the Yuga philosophy from Hindu philosophy, that there's, you know, the Tetra, Satya, Kali and some other Yuga. There's 4 Yugas, I think. And to me it does look like we're transitioning from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga, because the Satya Yuga says that man's work will be closest to God. And you can see all these light workers coming about, you know, with the unity wave of 2011, that 11/11 unity wave thing. You know, everyone, there was a big buzz around it. So I can see all this stuff actually happening through people, and these waves playing out through carriers, which are people. You might say the eschaton is playing out through me, so I surf the concrescence to the eschaton, and we'll talk about that another day, what it means to surf the concrescence. Oh, here we go, there's another one, but it is saying something similar with 2011 there being a universal cycle. Now, I think that the universal cycle was in 2012, but anyway. But it doesn't really matter how accurate this is, but you can see all this sort of stuff is occurring. I can just see this in the populace. Then I found out about the Yuga cycles, and I can see that too. And just really, to me, it didn't matter how accurate it all was. The whole notion was that something is going on to do with the compression of time. And then at the last month, in November 2012, just before the eschaton, the final date of the 21st of December, I found Terence McKenna in his time wave 0. Now, what's funny about this is he actually set the time wave 0 to the 21st of December, the end of the Mayan 13th Baktun, and this whole Mayan calendar ending thing, and the world was meant to go into upheaval and chaos, which in some sense it has, but you know, we didn't get a massive pole shift flood or a fire and brimstone apocalypse. It was more of an uncovering apocalypse. Now, this is happening, it's just we've got to be sensitive to how it's all happening. And that's why I did a lot of research and just, you know, I looked into everything. I didn't just dismiss all this stuff. So in the end, I found Terence McKenna's thing to be the most accurate. You know, it's sort of more encompassing, maybe, I might say. So there's all this stuff to do with time, and you know, the stars are obviously in control of things here. I call them super-toroidal axiom reverberators, and that's an acronym. What are they reverberating? What axioms? Well, the axioms of God, obviously, or anything that is similar to that word God. And it's like a birth canal now in this ontogeny of phylogeny at 2012, moving into these new ontoses, like the maximum novelty domain, and stepping out of the historical hangover. I expect the historical hangover will last hundreds of years because of how many ignorant people there are. So, you know, it's not just all going to change overnight. This is big energy movements. That is how you should be seeing this sort of thing. So there's all these wave dynamics, and it seems time is some sort of, at least in one way, high dimensional wave dynamic. Well, that's how it works. And so anyway, I just wanted to show you that page as well. So now let's go into the more of the core of this. So in other words, to summarize that, I saw that something was going on and decided to sort of look into it further. And the thing is, I didn't really look into it exceptionally, like, a crazy amount. All the information just sort of came to me through serendipitous synchronicity. And synchronicity is the city of heaven on earth. Synchro city. Now, I think this is it here. Yep. Why plant plants with crystals? Why plant crystals? No, why plant plants with crystals? Alright. So let me just go through here. First, there's something I'd like to say that one of my friends said to me a while ago, Matt, a guy, and he said this. So I don't know how accurate this is, and he was a Star Trek fanatic, so I'm not sure exactly how perfectly accurate this is. I have not researched this scientifically. Maybe I should have, but I can always do that in the future and put a little annotation on the video. So let's get into it. Photonic mainboards is what we're creating in the future, remember? But I mean crystal melted into glass, crystal glass. Best form of optic instead of just normal glass, said Matt. He was an IT hardware guy too, making all his main boards by himself and stuff. See, gemstones will be used for extremely high data transmission. Rubies red or sapphires blue, not so much emeralds green. Maybe because of the density of the emeralds, they are a nice stone, but they are not just up to scratch for IT, as compared to the aforementioned. They are, see, I wrote this out. They are good for ripping things apart or laser diffusion, forcing the laser to diffuse and, say, vaporize a person, for instance. That's the green emeralds. So perhaps the laser beams of the future will be green. Those rubies and gemstones will be more centralized beams. So the emeralds are able to create like a spread shot rifle laser beam, not such a centered beam. A diamond might be used for untraceable weapons because they all shoot out the same sort of diffusion, because same light frequency. I think I should have used a different word there. Diamonds won't leave a signature in the cone of the eyes because no color spectrum in a laser sense. If you shoot someone in the face with a diamond laser, it won't be like, say, using the ruby, wherein the opposite color of the red ruby on the spectrum would appear in the cone of the eye of the person you have shot. So diamond won't leave a signature, or would make it harder to narrow down at least. And I said here, revisit photonic computers. Well, how they work and such as multiple state computations. That was a note I made, but I remember now that they, instead of today's electric computers, can compute in multiple states. So instead of thinking one thought, they can think 1 million thoughts at once. That's what it's similar to, analogous to. The best jeweler will tell you each stone has its story. And if you go to the hippie page in consciousazine, it links to my notes domain. I have a stones note in my notes domain. Let's hope that loads in the background. Not going to. Anyway, let's get into this more. I'm going to go over the rest of this spiel in a second. Okay, so before we get into this next part, reason 1, why plant plants with crystals? Reason 1 might be because it's zeitgeistal, if we're entering a crystal golden times or age or anything like that. Like I've said, I think it is relevant. So it's zeitgeistal, it's the spirit of the times to do so. Reason 2, because it looks pretty. Hey girls. And crystals attract fairies in the garden, so you'll be attracting hyperdimensional beings. Anyway, let's get into why you might like to plant stones or crystals next to or with plants. This is concluded in the bottom few paragraphs as well, after a lengthy spiel here through golden crystal age dynamics and systematics. But I did already sort of cover that. Quantum computing, the relevance to how you can actually see that there is some sort of golden crystal age emerging. So for about 2 weeks on Facebook I asked everyone, why do we place stones under full moon or in salt water for? My thoughts were along the lines as usual of getting the quantum dynamics of the situation, but that didn't occur, so maybe I could go further into science at the end of this video. Maybe go visit phys.org.com, and also, as I thought, I got responses on the several posts I made saying it is to clear them and restore and or regenerate them. However, as usual, I wanted to delve deeper and question more, but here are the basic responses. Apparently salt is good for extracting or pulling out negative energy. However, no one stated to me the meaning or description of negative energy. No one described it in more detail so that flashing lights could go off in your head in a dot connectivity sense. Say for instance, if we were to call the negative energy positive ions, like they do in Qi. See, I might use the word static energy to relate to negative energy, so free electrons maybe. So then you could also say that the crystals, and why plant them with your plants, because they might create a sort of less static, some sort of better connection, better communication possibly between plants, because some plants actually communicate via clicks, like lettuces. If you chew a lettuce or rip up a lettuce at one end of the garden bed full of lettuces, the lettuce next to that one that you ripped out or took leaves off will send out clicks to its friends to say, hey, there's a grazer, someone's eating me. So maybe planting crystals next to your plants can sort of amplify their signals and also, get rid of static energy. What would you say to that? I said something about buffer overflow here. In an IT sense, I might add the phrase buffer overflow, so the restoration is equal to restoring the buffer in a data package of information, or in this case vibration restoration. So the hippies et al. Or enlightened people always say to me, smoky quartz is said to be good for absorbing negative energy, and my reply is yes, and see why. Notice it's smoky quartz and the static is dampened via this. My friend Lemire, I don't know about that conjecture. Maybe I shouldn't have even said that. And my friend Lemire Nick said, I think moonlight helps charge them. Crystals can hold intention, just like water. You can focus your energy on them and they will charge what you want into them and they will hold it. So also to give good vibrations to your plants, and a way of communicating to your plants would be to charge your crystals up with certain positive thoughts or whatever, and then go put the crystal next to the plants. And she also said moonlight is very good for the energy of the unknown and subconscious. Interesting. So then the charging word would seem analogous to, say, when you restore a battery. That is, so the crystal can thereafter full moon charging work its magic to heal energetic centers of your body. You see, the crystals can add vibration if clear, and also pull out or absorb static from your energetic centers. Now they might do the same thing to the plants. Why? Well, because just like you, your body is sense-stored electrical waves. Sense-stored electrical waves are not conscious of themselves. That's why there is a universal one consciousness, God. Now, that's the creator of all this motional light. It's the still single light whence all motional light cometh. So just like you, sense-stored electrical waves can be attributed to the plants. So just like you, the crystals may have an effect on these plants in very similar ways. Now, onto DMT. It's the world's most powerful hallucinogen. It's found throughout many plants. I'll show you in the DMT video I create how many plants it's found in. There's actually so many plants you can find DMT in and create, ayahuasca analogues. Now, onto DMT. As it is a crystal and we enter the golden crystal age, see that nomenclature moniker or title is not inept. It is apt for many reasons. For instance, golden age, not just because it's going to be all fun and free age of Aquarius styles and free love and all that. It's mainly nicknamed called the golden age because of the sheer abundance and enlightenment and freedom ensuing from these changed times now. Notice we are very unfree, we're very slaved right now. Well, that's for the reason of seeing that. And polarity sight. You transverse polarity to see. So once you see that, you can see the opposite is abundance, and we can step out of this monetary fiat counterfeited black alliance banking fictionalized, fractionalized banking system and move into the universal abundance, because the universe is abundant. So it's funny that we have a scarcity-based system. We trade commodities and it's a scarcity base. And also, not just that, but the freedom ensuing in the golden auras arising in the Wayshower group soul, and the gold ring or angel halo being instilled on gear. The gold ring is like the angel halo you see in cartoons hovering over angels' heads, meant in a planetary sense, as in Gaia Mother Earth's gold halo is being instilled and she's ascending. She is ascending, and also meant along the lines of the Wayshowers, such as me acting as third eye elocutionists. You see people of the crystal room, elocutioning the crystal room, showing people how to use their third eye and everything. You see people didn't even know that you don't see in the eye. You look up true to crown and see all that cool stuff with the eye. So hence it's not in the eye you see it. See? I have given you so much alchemical gold over the years. What I gave you just now is alchemical conceptus gold, also having relevance to the nomenclature of golden crystal age, golden alchemical gold, and crystal sight. Now the crystal clear, I said the crystal children are going to be crystal clear and have an active upper Dan Gen. That means that they clairvoyantly can see you. So the golden crystal age has got to do with insight, or no, actually sight, being able to see. What I just gave you called alchemical gold is the numinous intangible conceptus alchemical gold. This is the beneath the surface and the behind the veil. The surface is the sense stored electrical wave. What I've given you there is more conceptus conscious gold. Down two paragraphs I mention a more physical phenomenous alchemical gold, and I think that's when I start talking about the ormus. But for another instance, we will use gold nano cages. I don't know if you've known this, but I read this in Science. We'll be using gold nano cages to deliver drugs such as to diabetics, directly delivering insulin to the cells. Also because it's the entering into the golden light, which is the gold light with white center at the end of the spectrum. I once said something on a page in consciousazine.com about me being a shaman, and yes, it is okay for you to come to me with your ills and problems, hence the name Shaman Doctor, or the Doctor moniker being often attached to the word shaman in use. I said, yes, it is okay to come to me as I am a shaman for humanity, and I absorb the full spectrum, because you can all come to me with all your problems, and the shaman absorbs all this. And then I said place a link to electromagnetic spectrum here so people can understand. We're analogizing and allegorying and metaphoring. See, I get to see all of the community's psychosomatic spectrum, is what I meant. Then I added, you see, I am the gold-white centered light at the end of the spectrum, which absorbs the rest of the spectrum. That's what the shaman is. So golden age in that sense too, the rising of the earth steward midwives, chamanas and chamanos, in cultures where the shamans were burnt, in the West societies where we burnt our witches at the stake. No wonder we got into this lost mess and disconnection from nature. So, golden age in the sense of mass, shaman and sewage and revival, it's a part of the archaic revival aspect of entering the maximum novelty domain post-2012 official transcendental future. The golden age means just that all beings will be of the gold energy, and with that comes a lifting in consciousness, in wisdom and understanding, an overview of consciousness that is much more ready to listen to another, to respect another, and to come to resolving any conflict if any should arise. Also, all conflicts are now only points for resolution. Do you notice that? And that's what's meant by polarity sight. Every conflict is now being used as a turning point for solution and resolution and convalescence. Alright, I already mentioned some of that, just a little bit of a... oh, here we go. But also, most importantly, the gold ring being instilled on Gia. Okay, well, we will also drink gold ormus, I've already mentioned that too. One thing I didn't mention is the gold top magic mushroom, psilocybin cubensis. Wink wink. Okay, I've mentioned this. So the ormus and the superconductivity of the human blood. Mind you, this would also make you brighter. That's how it feels. It feels like you're getting sort of brighter when you do this. I fasted on it sort of for 2 days. I didn't really fully fast. I just ate a lot less and drank more of this monoatomic gold. And I did feel this energy increase. Now, back to the crystal part of the title, Golden Crystal Age. Here we should delve into the DMT plant hallucinogen and neuroendocrine secretive spirit molecule, as it's been called. If you don't know, there is a YouTube documentary. I've forgotten his name, but it's called The Spirit Molecule, and it's by some, I think he's a professor, or maybe not a full-on professor, but he's astute enough. Anyway, it's called The Spirit Molecule, I'm pretty sure, and there's a whole documentary on that on YouTube. And sorry guys, I forgot the guy's name who actually narrates that and speaks that. But just type in Spirit Molecule and DMT and you should be able to find it. Right, let's see what else we can get out of the rest of this jargon. I've written some crap here, but anyway. So, yeah, part of this crystal age is this photonic computing, you know, not with electrical, but photon light. And, you know, they can do multiple calculations at once. And also, it's titled the Golden Crystal Age because the return and creation of Christos, or Christos, expounded Christ consciousness. I've called it first crack consciousness, Holy Spirit, higher light body. And because we will use crystals like DMT. So let's get into that one. So I almost gained access to it recently. It's 2014 now, but I haven't had it. The situation went awry in Gold Coast. However, I still gathered some information on this as I've, I don't know, scoured the internet, listened to people talk about it and stuff, and seen what's going on. Now, I have had psilocybin cubensis, which is a sort of dimethyltryptamine, very similar compound. It's almost the same as DMT, what's in psilocybin cubensis. So, at a higher and upper dose, you approach a DMT trip, and I remember Terence McKenna himself saying that as well. So I do have some idea of what to expect, and also I think it's similar, DMT is similar to Salvia divinorum in its wackiness and its depth, but you know, they're definitely two different things. Anyway, I'll explain more on that in future videos on each one of the psychedelics. So I do think that crystals are going to be largely figured out in this golden crystal age. We're going to do a lot of tinkering with them. And let's get into DMT, because I think DMT is going to be used to see, or crystal sight, and it enhances the upper Dan Gen. So it can enhance your crystal room. It will be used more in the future. So DMT seems to make some people who use it too often, quote unquote, get stuck in the trip. I'm sure many of you have heard this before. So what that is the modern anthropoid not being nimble enough, adept enough at switching from inner higher light to lower surface electrical light. So a stuck in the light body mode, sort of, but it's like their alchemical vault is empty or something. And there's a modulation problem with it, because when you're using an empty vault where there's no alchemical gold to work with in the first place, there's not much you can do. You can't mold that gold into many visions and insights, you see. So they're not even able to modulate from anything. There's nothing, you know, a lot of psychedelics are used to see inner language and enhance pineal gland activity and stuff like this. So if you're going straight to the, you know, the hardest one, so to speak, DMT, the most powerful hallucinogen in the world, you know, you might not even know how to interpret what you're seeing properly and what you're experiencing properly. So there's a big problem there. No, I need to delete some of this. Or was it a bit too much conjecture there? Yeah, let's pass on that. But yeah, the brain is use it or lose it, and you know, the psychedelics, you know, they all enhance neurogenesis. So the creation of neuronal connections and microdendritic evolutions. So they are good for your brain in that way. That's why it takes so long to integrate psychedelic experiences and visions, because you have to English it and put it into your dictionary and so on. However, I do think that DMT will be used to see and enhance the crystal room, because it is a crystal too. It's just funny that it comes around at this time. You know, at the end of history, the ayahuasca vine is reaching around the world. It's reaching its tentacles over as many as it can. It's been said. So anyway, in the end, why plant stones or crystals next to your plants? Well, after watching that 1970s plant intelligence documentary, which I've got on the environmental mental page in consciousazine under the plant intelligence post. So after watching that 1970s plant intelligence documentary, I think it's called The Secret Life of Plants, wherein they showed a plant's leaf's light body remains. Like the Krillian photography showed that there was light photons remaining where the leaf was taken. So the plant sort of still thought it was there. And it takes a day or two to go away, apparently. So it's like its light body or something, or its aura or something from a previously torn leaf was there for a while after. So after watching this documentary, where they showed that plants seem to attend to music scintillations and vibrations, and actually react to music. Yes, notice this, that music is on a vibratory level, and crystals are also just an intensely high pitch. I realized that crystal stones would be good for plants in the garden, so increasing the high pitch increased light body empowerment, and widening the bandwidth of sensitivity and raising the vibration. Now, almost lastly but not leastly, my friend, this probably isn't lastly or leastly, just take into consideration, I didn't want to write this all out, I thought I'd just go over it. My friend Veronica said crystals already have an intention. However, some people say we can put our intentions onto them, clear them, and re-intentionalize them. She's saying crystals already have an intention by themselves, though. Let me, like, how I have a soul, for instance, and I have a mission here on Earth. Let me explain. For one hand, I said that from spirituality, but with science, what I'm saying has no sense, or it makes no sense. One given with the thinking a purpose, and not so much with the charge. So the crystals already have an intention, one given with the thinking a purpose. So she's saying that the crystals have already a purpose and intention. So yeah, it can be beneficial to plant your plants with different crystals, because they all have different things and different energies that they're doing, different healing abilities. And now, so let's quickly switch to my note on stones, where we can really see that exasperated. For instance, I don't know who wrote this, gemstone of the day, holy blue agate. A stone of transformation, holy blue agate creates a cross-like energy over your heart chakra. Increases brain memory and has the ability to access lost or forgotten data with the stone. So that's just that one, for instance. It's doing those things. This stone, for instance, the cathedral quartz, this stone opens up the crown chakra to receive messages from other dimensional planes. Receives direct communication from our sun, blah 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 blah. It will enhance your solar plexus chakra. So this note's pretty big. You can see it pretty much just goes on like that and says what each stone is meant to be able to be used for. Now these are just written by all different people I've gathered over the years, and you can see it's quite thorough though, so you can start to get a feel that there's many different energies, and you can see that because it's reverberated in their body. That's their crystal body. What we're seeing, their ideas and their intentions and purpose are all in that, just like you, your soul, everything is sort of encapsulated in your body. One good way of saying that is, for me, a lot of people look at me and think, oh, a dumb surfer, yet I'm like usually smarter than them. So my whole thing is a sort of tremendum mysterium, and a sort of look. You don't judge a book by its cover, and look beyond the cover of things and the surface of things. It's part of what I'm doing here. And so you can see all the different energies, because they're all different colors, all different refraction indexes, and different arrays of refraction and everything going on in there. So there's different literal energies being created out of them. So of course that, I think, could enhance your plant's growth, just like it enhances us. Just like I say, essential oils aren't called essential for nothing. Crystals are the hardest substance. They're all these wonderful properties. I mean, they're not useless. So it makes sense for me. They act as, sort of a nervous system on gear. Actually, my friend down here says that, so let's continue. Lamia Nix said, again, another thing, I will say one day it was channeled to me that plants not only take our carbon monoxide and turn it into oxygen, but they also take our negative energy and turn it into positive. And I said here, I agree via direct experience of sitting outside next to them, or embedding myself into the forest, if you will. Plants help recharge humans, said Lamia. Nature is the way to help us to do this. Something told me to tell you to look up about crystals not only being a stone but being alive themselves. They are connected and sensitive too. And I agree, they are some kind of life form, and I think we actually will transition to make crystal bodies and transfer our consciousness to crystals and stuff like that. So I agree, and the most noted thing about this turning our negative energy into positive energy that plants do is this grounding effect. So it is going back to what I was saying about that they help clear static. Now when you're grounding and you've got all this harmful EMF radiation from, say, the computer in front of me, when you then sit on, I remember David Wolf has a video, the health enthusiast David Wolf has a video where he sits on the bed. They've got some grounding device on the bed so that every bed can now be grounded if we all use this technology. And that would be getting rid of static energy, because you can't sleep as well with your head right next to the computer. Here's just an experiment to show that I'm not just talking shit. You can, go to sleep next to a computer and it's harder, and you'll wake up all fucked up. And your dimensional bed, your, alpha, beta, delta and theta brainwaves are all screwed around. And there's all these negative effects like that. It's dirty electrical energy, we call it. So, the plants do this. They ground you when you sit next to them on the ground in nature. But, just being around the plants, they seem to clear me. You've also got the birds and everything. But what I'm saying is that if we plant a crystal next to a plant which already takes away our negative energy, and I do feel positive around the plants, so I agree with this. Even if not all the science is up to speed on it, it's definitely something that's happening. So if we put crystals next to the things that are already turning negative energy into positive energy, well, it's going to amplify that and enhance it. So then another person, Elizabeth Greenway, said in reference to clearing negative energy, I would say any energy that is stuck, not flowing, is sticky, so like stagnant water. This is what happens in the body just in everyday, like from others' own thought patterns, etc. So a crystal can absorb crap the same. Energy should be like water, flowing clean and clear, not dirty, stagnant, or sticky. So, the crystals can help clear stuck energy, and I have noticed this even when I'm just holding my banana agate. And when I'm holding that stone, it does something to the eye in my hand. You know how you have the energetic eye in the middle of your hand? Well, it definitely clears that. For me, anyway. So these crystals can help the clearing of the plant and now this would be a higher vibration and pitch overtaking the lower dirty pitches, just like when you meditate and push through dense energy blockages in your body. So this would be a great reason to use crystals next to your plants to clear them out, which will in turn clear you out too. So here's a bit of a capstone apparently. This came together after I wrote most of that. The properties of the crystal lattices has a long duration of atomic order. They are the main source of memory creation. From the spiritual, herein point of view, is sacred and have life. It is the first impression that ultra-consciousness left, so fractally contains the creation itself, crystals. Becoming aware of the existence of this energy network, tune the frequency of the gem, we tune the purest atomic self, recognize the divinity in ourselves and evolve. Love your project and I want my video soon. Love, Veronica. Yeah, so I really agree with what Veronica was saying there. And that really, thanks so much for saying that, Veronica, because that's really, it really hit me really quickly. And I sort of went, oh, yes. So I broke it down here. It's the first impression that ultra-consciousness left, she said. Bingo! You just gave me a piece I sorely needed. Now, what you said is only true from the real beginning. Remember, we are being pulled from the future, not the past. And this, I now realize, is why I keep having this funny idea that crystals are futuristic and crystals will be used in the future and rah rah rah. Thanks for the capstone of connectivity, Veronica. And I'm referring there to my note impinging forward backward asymptotic model when I say we're being pulled from the future. Okay, so here's some link. What do crystals do and how to take care of them? Let's just see if I should read this. Well, that looks pretty long. Oh man. Alright, let's read it. Oh, that looks really long. I'm not getting paid enough. No. Alright, so let's get into this. When most people talk about crystals, I think this is from this link here. They mean rock crystal, the most common form of quartz on our planet. This is the grandfather of the mineral kingdom. Many experts estimate that as much as 1/3 of the Earth's crust is made up of some type of quartz. And down below, Ramayana, another friend of mine says we need to stop ripping them up out of the ground. They're like the nervous system of gear. It's like fiber optics. Physically, a quartz crystal is a solid material composed of silicon dioxide, silica and oxygen with a chemical formula SiO2. Quartz crystal belongs to the hexagonal crystal system and have a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale. Oh, there's some special scale of hardness I didn't know about. Most quartz crystals are between 100 to 125 million years old, so treat these venerable ancients with the respect they deserve. All quartz crystals have a precise, regular, hexagonal internal arrangement of atoms, often referred to as the crystal spiral. This spiral revolves either left or right, and even mineralogists aren't sure why some spirals move one way and some the other, and frequently in the same quartz cluster. But it is, and I think that might be higher magnetics doing that, but it is this reliable arrangement of atoms which gives quartz crystals their priceless talents, both for crystal lovers and technology. Clear quartz crystal may not be clear at all. It is often milky or snowy in appearance, with visible or invisible inclusions of water, air, gas or other minerals, but it will almost always be called clear in books about quartz crystal. I'm not going to go that. What do crystals do? How do crystals work for and with you? In a much oversimplified explanation, The energy radiating from quartz crystal automatically resonates at the quantum level in harmony with human and other frequencies, in other words, with human energy speeds. So this is connecting up why we might want to put them in the garden, where you can frolic around barefoot and ground out and get the nice energy from the crystals. Sound, color, and light are really just energy vibrating at different speeds. For instance, on the part of the color spectrum visible to human beings, the frequency or speed creating the color red vibrates the slowest, and the frequencies of the color violet the fastest. And since the human body is, among other things, a large receiver, and has even developed specialized parts to receive and translate certain vibrations, eyes, ears, skin, nervous system, etc., we can use the analogy of your brain as your tuner and your nervous system as your antennae. Crystals then can act as your satellite dish, radar amplifiers, CDs, and even computer networks. In other words, crystals naturally boost and extend your inherent powers in each of these analogical areas. In fact, the primary function of quartz crystal is to boost and amplify. So that's very interesting. I like their analogies there. When you hold a crystal for even a few brief seconds, it begins to vibrate on a frequency in harmony with your physical body, and this harmonization extends to your mind. Think of them as members of a band or orchestra or choir. Different crystals play or add their own unique notes and frequencies. So there you go. Not the same notes you yourself play, but harmonizing notes which boost, amplify, condense, intensify, and dramatically spiff up your own. So, like I said, each stone is used for different purposes, and they all have their unique frequencies and notes. So, just like we want to keep plant biodiversity and genetic diversity in our plant kingdom, so we're not just all eating the one food in the end, because we've got an inward diversification going on, as I've showed in one of my videos before. There's a real bad inward diversification. So we're not diversifying, we're culling everything. We need to keep genetic diversity up in the plant kingdom, and just like that, not dissimilarly, in the same way, we should it makes sense to put crystals of different frequencies in the garden to increase complexity and diversity. So crystal energy frequencies also have the inherent ability to support your efforts in surfacing information from your subconscious. Information you already know on some level but are not consciously aware of at the moment for one reason or another. Yeah, that's interesting. Good. So you can go into the garden, if you have a lot of crystals there, you might actually think that thought that you wanted to think. If you're searching, you're a genuine seeker, a Gnostic seeker, seeking the way and seeking answers, well, the crystals in the garden could definitely help you. Naturally terminated crystals are synchronized, are in alignment with the primal cosmic force or life itself. In other words, quartz crystals are just naturally in harmony with the life force. So I'm guessing they might be able to increase chi energy and kundalini and stuff too, and prana, even in its raw, unformed state. The precise internal arrangement of quartz crystals we spoke of earlier ensures this constant and consistent harmony, and your crystals quite literally help you stay in tune. So to plant plants with crystals would create an even more harmonic space and lovely space to tune yourself up at the end of the day and ground out, all in the matter of half an hour. It's kind of like going into a special room to go into your garden then. This is why holding a crystal, meditating with one, sleeping with one, or even just having them around you works so well. Your crystals continually automatically try to keep you in tune with their own harmonic synchronization with the primal energy of life, thereby keeping you more in harmony with life. It is important to remember that each crystal is a distinct individual and with its own harmonic frequency oscillations. So yes, it can make a difference which one you use and when. While crystals don't actually hold electrical charges of energy in the way a battery does, for instance, each individual crystal, when rubbed or squeezed, does produce an electrical charge called piezoelectricity. Piezo just means applied pressure. This is the talent of quartz crystal that has made it the darling of the technological crowd. Crystals, in fact, are so effective in technology they are now grown in environmentally controlled laboratories to ensure that their structures are absolutely perfect. Kirlian photographs of quartz crystals show a white light radiating out from a blue star-like center. Another good symbol on its own. That's interesting. And since each crystal is an individual, its Kirlian photograph is as distinctive to it as yours is to you. Experimentation with Kirlian photography and crystals also clearly shows that a crystal's something energy patterns change as its environment changes. Just one more thing crystals and humans have in common. So the patterns change of the crystal when the environment changes, just like we can do the biology of perception and with our own thoughts create different brain chemistry. So, all great reasons to put these next to your plants in the garden. Lead crystal is not actually quartz crystal at all, but is glass mixed with lead. While lead crystal prisms refract light spectacularly, they will not have the qualities nor be capable of functioning like natural quartz crystal. Crystal symbolism, we're not going to go into that. Metaphysical aspects of crystals and gemstones. The energies of the mineral kingdom are universal energies. Remember, the mineral kingdom is the second dimensional domain of things, or part of the second dimension. Hence, when one contacts and is willing to receive this energy and begins to exercise personal creativity via exercise of the higher will, one can contact and synthesize the energies from which the entire universe is comprised. This is the reason that crystals and other minerals are so very powerful. Yeah, they're the building blocks of variety, the second dimension, and also why their powers must only be used through the highest consciousness of the individual. The individual universal energies contained within each mineralogical structure is activated and directed by interaction and or contact with same. Okay. The consciousness of the planet is leading humanity to rediscovery of an ancient and forgotten healing art in which the utilization of crystals is prominent. Part of the golden crystal age. Archaic. The members of the mineralogical kingdom have been used for centuries to act as a catalyst and to assist one in becoming reunited with the source. Crystals have been used and or revered since the dawning of civilization. The Christian Bible refers to crystals over 200 times. Many of the early civilizations of Earth e.g. the Mayan, Aztec, American, Indian, African, Native and Celtic, often used quartz crystals in ceremonies. Crystal and gemstone personalities. Each type of stone has its own personality and type of consciousness, or sense-stored electrical waves, remember, which is not consciousness. These are so clearly defined that people sensitive to these vibrations have been able to define for us specific purposes for these various stones and how they can be used. However, in such fields, use changes with individuals, with the level of consciousness at which one is working, physical, emotional, mental, psychic and or spiritual, etc., and what type of balancing is required at that time for that person. So, they seem to be quite malleable, these hard crystals, conceptually malleable. Using, okay, we don't have to read that. Upon receiving a new crystal, a dedication is always recommended. This may be accomplished by holding the crystal while consciously willing that the crystal be used only in love, in light, and for the good of all. Yeah, it can be a good idea to put positive intentions on a crystal, but I like what Veronica said. I think they each have their own purpose, and you know, they're already coming with a scheme. You know, they're already coming with their own thing. So it might be wise to be sensitive to that, to try and figure out, you know, how to use the crystal, rather than you just sort of egoically putting your will onto the crystal. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of that. Oh, it looks like, yep, it was from that link there. Anyway, Ramayana. People steal these from the earth and break up the nervous system of Gaia. I've seen many crystal caves destroyed by people who sell crystals. Crystal miners have even dug them out of the earth at my home. Leave them in the ground and never buy them. Well, I kind of agree with Ram, Ram a little bit. My voice is getting sore. You know, I like his analogy that the crystals are like a nervous system somehow, you know, kind of like fiber optics or optic fibering cables, you know. I'm sure they have ley lines between them that are invisible too. Okay, then I've got research further. So what I might do is I might watch these, that one and that one, and then summarize what I think about that if I feel like it. Otherwise you won't hear me come back to talk about them. But I'll most probably just summarize what those two links are about, or add in if they've got anything to add onto all this. Then there's also, yep, looks like a photo from Facebook, which says this website explains what each stone does energy wise, but you can just Google that, you know. Look in my stones note and then Google it, and you know, that information will be everywhere. This person is saying, after clearing crystals, I often like to charge them with a metal like copper. Interesting. And my friend Jonas Patterson said, if adding a second crystal up in the tree, make it it makes it like a rod of life energy. Ah, very interesting, Jonas, yeah. So he's saying, don't just put the crystals on the ground, put them up, say, in a big tree. That's a good idea. I would actually do that myself. Alright, I don't know where I've taken this from. The lattice of diamonds are very tightly bound, known as the hardest natural substance, diamond, because it is transparent and so dense light actually slows down to about 40% of its speed in the so-called vacuum of space. Don't forget, diamonds are just carbon, the same stuff as coal. Learn how to see everything is connected, such as the nomenclature of the golden crystal age and how gold and crystals will be finally used appropriately and ubiquitously. Yeah, crystals can amplify resonances. We went over that. Plants exhibit the same senses as humans and see, touch, smell, hear, and even taste. Let's have a look at that one. Because if humans use crystals, then it makes sense, especially if they've got the same senses as us, to allow the plants to use crystals in our gardens. Have you ever wondered what the grass under your feet feels, what an apple tree smells or a marigold sees? Plants stimulate our senses constantly, but most of us never consider them as sensory beings too. In fact, senses are extremely important to plants. Like I said, guys, scent stored electrical waves. It's the case of, on the case of animal cruelty as well. They've got a brain, sense stored electrical wave activity, emotivity, etc. Whatever life throws at them, they remain rooted to the spot, the plants. They cannot migrate in search of food, escape a swarm of locusts, or find shelter from a storm. To grow and survive in unpredictable conditions, plants need to sense their environment and react accordingly. Sight. Plants have scientifically been shown to draw alternative sources of energy from other plants. Plants influence each other in many ways, and they communicate through nanomechanical oscillations, vibrations on the tiniest atomic or molecular scale, or as close as you can get to telepathic communication. Yeah, to all language in the human domain and anything, plant domain, animal domain, all language has been created out of telepathic light streams. Now this is getting very close to that, nanomechanical oscillations. So indeed, I agree with their statement there. What do plants see? The obvious answer is that, like us, they see light. Just as we have photoreceptors in our eyes, they have their own throughout their stems and leaves. So they have photoreceptors. These allow them to differentiate between red and blue, and even see wavelengths that we cannot in the far red and ultraviolet parts of the spectrum. So the plants see even better than you. It makes sense because they've adapted for millions and billions of years, and humans are only a couple of million years old, so the plants are older than us, so it makes sense that they have more ability than us. So we should not keep seeing them as lower life forms, huh? It shows you how ignorance may be bliss, but ignorance is also ignorance. And it can keep you from bliss. Too much ignorance can keep you from bliss. That should be our new saying. Quote me. Okay, so we won't read all of that, but touch. Plants live in a very tactile world. Branches sway in the wind, insects crawl across leaves, and vines search out supports to hang on. Plants are even sensitive to hot and cold, allowing them to respond to the weather by doing things like changing their growth rates and modulating their use of water. Yeah, like I notice when a plant is growing from seedling, it'll put one leaf behind another leaf, so it's got one cool leaf on that hot day in order to circulate water through, you know, a cool spot in its body to keep its temperature down. Simply touching or shaking a plant is often enough to reduce its growth. Yeah, I always sort of lightly touch them to let them know that something is taking care of them, and you know, I'm picking out weeds near them, and I'm just generally interacting with them like that. But don't shake and really rip them up too much, because it definitely reduces the growth. But I do let them know, you know, after I water them, I'll pick some, you know, fresh leaves for me to eat, and they'll feel me, so that they know that the feeling is associated with food, and that they're being looked after, you know. Yeah, all plants can sense mechanical forces to some degree. I have seen previous articles on this from phys.org.com. They actually have little pores, you know, like your skin has pores, so do plants. So we have to stop seeing plants as something lower, and just because they're stuck in the ground, they're not some completely inferior being. So they can also touch physical forces. Smell. The parasitic vine called dodder is the sniffer dog of the vegetable world. It contains almost no chlorophyll, the pigment that most plants use to make food and photosynthesize. So to eat it must suck the sugary sap from other plants. Dodder uses olfaction to hunt down its quarry. It can distinguish potential victims from their smell, homing in on its favorites, and also using scents emitted by unhealthy specimens to avoid them. Sorry, I hope I don't have too much of a lisp as my mouth's drying out. I'm getting a sore voice. So it's saying this dodder plant, or a vine, it's a parasitic vine that can actually sniff down using olfaction, like our sense of smell, our olfactory nose, and hunt down its prey and quarry. Interesting. I didn't know that one. Taste. Our senses of smell and taste are intimately entwined. Conceptually, smells enhance or dampen tastes sensed by our tongues. Physically, our mouths and nasal cavities are connected so that our noses can pick up smells released as food is chewed. The major difference is that smell deals with volatile chemicals, and taste senses soluble chemicals. The major difference is that smell deals with volatile chemicals, and taste senses soluble chemicals. So just like we can taste soluble chemicals, so can plants. That's why if the soil is too acidic, it might die, or if it's too nitrogen-filled soil, too much nitrogen, sometimes in potting mixes, the plant will just wither and die in front of you, like in a matter of, you know, a couple of hours. So just like we have olfactory sensitivity, and the plants do too, and just like we have sensing of taste, which is soluble chemicals, the plants also have that. So under hearing, this article has: you have probably heard conflicting stories about the musical preferences of plants. Some people are convinced they flourish when exposed to classical compositions. Others believe that heavy metal or bebop does the trick. Strangely, plants' musical tastes show a remarkable congruence with those of the humans reporting them. Although research in this area has a long history, most of it is not very scientific, and if you think about it, experiments studying music and plants were doomed from the start. We don't judge a plant's vision by showing it an eye chart and asking it to read the bottom line. Olfaction is not measured by its ability to differentiate between Chanel No. 5 and Old Spice. Music is not ecologically relevant for plants, so we shouldn't expect them to be tuned into it. Well, I agree and disagree. They're tuned into the symphony of the universe, not necessarily any human symphonies, though. So that's what they are meaning there. I actually believe plants sing themselves into existence, but that's another way of talking about this. They're pretty much just trying to say here, which I agree with, human music or man-made music is not ecologically relevant for plants. But there are sounds that, at least theoretically, it could be advantageous for them to hear. These include the vibrations produced by insects, such as a bee's buzz on an aphid's wing beat, and minuscule sounds that might be created by even smaller organisms. Now that's definitely true and obvious, because when I'm in the garden, sometimes I see a bee hover around a plant that it's waiting for its flower, and it's as if the bee is hovering on that plant for a little while, specifically vibrating a certain way, doing a certain dance, because we know bees dance. Bees actually dance back at the hive to tell the other bees where flowers are. The position of flowers is denoted by tail shakes and dancing. So I see a bee do this to a plant that doesn't yet have a flower, and then, for instance, the nasturtium is a great example. The nasturtium, just 2 rungs up in my garden, because it's on a hill here in the 2014 abode. 2 rungs up, there's nasturtium with flowers. The bees visit the flowers. Then 2 rows down from there, there's nasturtium started up. This plant, nasturtium, without the flowers, and I noticed the bees would go over to it and do a certain hover. In other words, a certain little hover dance. I could see that it was doing the same thing every time. I've seen this a couple of times now, so I believe that what they were just saying there is obvious because of that reason, and the obvious notion of that if you take a species away from a rainforest, you take away a certain vibration. For instance, if you take the bees out, you don't get the bee buzz. You might get the hornet buzz, which might be a deeper buzz, a deeper tone, you see, but you didn't get the bee's buzz. So each animal has its own sound and sort of frequency. So if you take animals out of a forest, it definitely makes the forest less of a sort of connective, living thing. You can imagine it like taking the nervous system out of your human body, as taking away a bee out of the forest, or something like that. That's not an exact analogy, but I'm just giving a rough example. If you take one of these animals out, it's just like taking a sort of an organ or a body part out of your body, or something like that, or a function, the way your cells do something, the way your cell converts food into energy. That function might be similar to removing that out of your body, might be similar to removing the bee out of the environment, or I don't know, the cricket or any insect or whatever. So each time you remove an animal from the forest, you're like removing kind of like a body function or a body part, and you think of it along those lines, because that's how it is. And this is obvious. So what they were saying there, plants hear vibrations, definitely. And I noticed that, like I mentioned earlier, I like to go in my garden, sort of stomp around when I'm watering, and they know that there's an animal there, and it's not just the same as the rain, because when the rain comes, there's no warning, it just starts blotting rain, and they notice a difference. So if I give them really good a watering, it's just like, I've forgotten what that's called. It's a certain type of conditioning, but I'm conditioning the plants to know that I'm a good, every time they hear my footsteps coming, I'm a good thing. I'm not a tractor coming to rip them down, for instance. They associate me with water and food. So anyway, let's keep going. For example, researchers at the Institute of Plant Science in Bern, Switzerland, recently recorded ultrasonic vibrations emanating from pine and oak trees during a drought. So ultrasonic vibrations. And there's a journal article reference, perhaps signaling to other trees to prepare for dry conditions. Yeah, interesting. Nice. So there you go. I've also seen more on how plants feel physical forces through pores, and this is some of the ways they pick up these sound vibrations through these little pores. So, they definitely are sentient beings, sense-stored electrical waves. Remember that. And I got that from Walter Russell, The Secret of Light. That whole still single light thing, and that, sense-stored electrical waves are not consciousness and not conscious of themselves. So it's like when we say 2D people are their thoughts, or 3D people rather are their thoughts. The fourth dimensional person too, but the fifth dimensional, like me, who can resonate more on the fifth dimensional sort of level, because we are all multi-dimensional beings. We've just sort of identified and got stuck and blocked other dimensional aspects of ourselves. So these three-dimensional people are their thoughts, and that's why we're here to step them out of their brainwash. It's funny that us indigo healers are all very brain plastic. It's something I notice across all the indigo healers coming into the world today, that we're all very eclectic and have good brain plasticity. Now these 3D people, the 2D people would be the people with really bad brain plasticity too, albeit maybe that comes from some sort of disease or dysfunction, but we're not talking about that stuff. So a 3D person who is their thoughts, they're the ones that need always evidence and stuff, so they don't seem to be Gnostic. They're thinking with other people's thinking, and so that's what we don't want to always do. We don't always want to just refer to journal articles. We want to think about things deeply and connotatively, and just really sit there for a minute and really think about something. Ask yourself always, do I feel it, or is it brainwash? So people have been really brainwashed, it seems, into thinking that plants are not sentient. So I think we need to bust that wide open. So here's some more. That looks like the same thing we read out before. So I can pretty much conclude here. Yep. Okay, so I'm pretty much just going to conclude it here, and I hope I've given you some more insight into this whole golden crystal age hullabub and what that's all about. And I hope we gave you some insights into crystals, me and my friends there. Thanks guys for contributing your ideas. I did ask some people to donate some crystals so I'd have some good visuals for this video. And this video will be watched by many people, hopefully hundreds of thousands at least, if not millions one day, because I'm just going to leave it on YouTube. And I did say, listen, my video is going to be shown to hundreds of thousands of people. Do you want to donate to me that orgone pyramid crystal structure you've made, and they couldn't do it. So, you know, that's cool. If you couldn't do it, and whatever's happened, you know, I understand many of us are in tight circumstances because we live in this ridiculous money system. But you know, in an abundant universe, we choose to live in a scarcity system. Very funny. Fucking hell. Talk about the surface area of ignorance. It's like those 2D, 3D surface area of ignorance people are completely trying to block us genuine seekers along the way, the Gnostics and the sphere of understanding, from expanding. But that's not going to last very long, because the population is increasing so much every day. It's like a wave breaking on the shore, these changes. The change times into the golden crystal convalescence. So we're just up the back of the garden here, and I'm going to place these crystals
These are actually mine, here in a bit of a shady spot, and they're pathetically small, so don't laugh. They're ones that I got years ago. I'm going to put these two back here in this shady spot. You know, no one... I asked a few people, and a few people were in conversation with me to send me some crystals for this video, so, you know, I could make the video a bit better. But no one actually ended up sending me anything. So I'll just go sit in the corner and have a cry now. No, no, that's alright guys, but there's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in the shade, in a shady spot, so they do act, you know, as little water reservoirs, and hopefully they increase the growth of this dill, because I want this dill to grow up. I just planted it, so it's still very small, but I want it to grow bigger. And I thought I'd put them in a shady spot because it just feels right for some reason. I don't really know why I feel like putting them in a shady spot. Maybe so when the fairies beam in, they're in a comfortable position, hey? Something like that.
Okay, how are we all going? How is everyone? I hope we're good. So, you know, I wasn't satisfied with that. I did want to see what the hippies had to say, and now I want to see what the scientists have to say. So I'm going to type in phys.org.com. This is my favourite science website. I found it to be the most astute. Oh, the internet! Come on, internet. I've found it to be, you know, the most astute, and it, you know, it provides me with the most big hard words out of all of the, you know, there's a large variety in there, a larger variety in Phys.org articles than in any other science website like, you know, Science Daily, and I don't know, there's lots of them. But so far this is the best one I've found over the years. It seems to be more what we call astute. So let's go ahead, and you know, that's how you spell it, and we're just going to go into the website, and then we're going to, I haven't been here for a while, so let's see what they've done with the place. Oh yeah, Stone Age Internet, just give it a second. There we go, I've got 2 whole bars of internet now, because I live in the future. Fuck, come on. Alright, so now it's got to reload. So I'm just going to type in crystal. Last time I was here it didn't look like this, and they had a search bar which might not have loaded yet. Alright, I think it's finally going to work. Good old Stone Age internet. Now I just press that and it does have the search bar still. So I'm going to type in crystals. You know, you could type in something like quantum computers or other harder search terms, or, you know, more complex search terms, but I'm just going to type this in. Ooh, DNA crystals. I don't know what they're talking about exactly here. Rounded crystals that mimic starfish shells could advance 3D printing pills. Interesting. So look, there's a lot out there, and obviously I'm not going to cover everything in the world in this video. I do want to add though, on the health side of things, one thing I didn't mention was, you know, salt's a crystal. And, you know, actually we need salt before we need food. Now, I'm not talking about just sodium chloride table salt and, you know, getting too much of that. I'm talking about healthy salts, like the sea salts with the ormus elements they call it, and, you know, it's said that these elements, you know, there's something funky about them. We don't know for sure, but it's like there's they've got one end connected in another dimension or something. Now anyway, so Celtic sea salt, stuff like that. I remember that really worked on my Eye of Horus area, or pineal gland area, and I felt like a buzzing for like half an hour, which I do attribute mainly to the salt that was used in the Ormus drink I had. It had colloidal silver, and it had white monoatomic gold, which is a superconductive... Oh well, we've already been through that. I forgot what video I was shooting. And it had Celtic sea salt, this drink. And, you know, I felt that really, the difference between the one I bought on the internet and the first one I had that made my head buzz for like half an hour. It was a great sensation. It was really clearing. Anyway, so, you know, we need water. You know, we're mainly comprised of water. We're like upright walking columns of water because of our adrenaline. And isn't that a trip? Now, and you know, we've come from the salt water, really, all life on Earth and stuff, you know, all the algae and all that. But yeah, actually what we need for health, just to be, you know, healthy, is we do need salt. Now, you want to get, you know, your Himalaya salt or your Himalaya Soleil, which is the crystallized version of the salt, more of a denser crystal. It's a deeper strata layer, and it contains more minerals, so I recommend Himalaya Soleil. And not just the salt, but you know, if you put some Himalaya salt on your avocado, it's going to make a big difference. And you know, we actually need that before food. So that's one thing that we're starting to realize now. I don't know, our ancestors probably realized this, but you know, coming into this whole crystal age, it's all about sort of new ontological relationships with crystals. So I just wanted to throw that little health tip in there too. So anyway, we've got a lot of things coming up here. Not so much that I wanted, so I'm going to type in crystal properties. We'll just see what that returns. Crystal breakthroughs, maybe I should put. Probably just gonna find the same articles. Let's just type in the structure of crystals, or maybe we should Google structures of crystals. It's probably not the best search terms for this website, I know. But let me just have a look what I can find. Alright, so there's not much coming up. Let's have a look at this one. Crystallizing the DNA nanotechnology dream. Scientists have designed the first large DNA crystals. Interesting. Now, I did say in my Cyborgs in the Forest lecture, I think we're sort of bound to become more crystalline and sort of morph, you know, we're going to become half machine robot people, but then I think beyond that we'll become, you know, half, I don't know, robot crystal people, you know, so as the evolution keeps going. And it is the hardest substance, and you know, all that stuff. DNA has garnered attention for its potential as a programming DNA has garnered attention for its potential as a programmable material platform that could spawn entire new and revolutionary nano devices in computer science. That's right, we can rewrite our DNA just via thoughts and biology of perception and that kind of thing. Researchers have been working to master the ability to coax DNA molecules to self-assemble into the precise shapes and sizes needed in order to fully realize these nanotechnology dreams. For the last 20 years, scientists have tried to design large DNA crystals with precisely prescribed depth and complex features. The team built 32 DNA crystals with precisely defined depth and assortment of sophisticated three-dimensional features. Well, there's a video. Let's watch that one. The newly achieved periodic crystal structures are more than 1,000 times larger than those discrete DNA brick structures sizing up closer to a speck of dust, which is actually quite large in the world of DNA and nanotechnology. Very interesting. Let's see what the video shows us. So there you go. This is the beginning of what I was talking about, you know, where we're starting to literally make DNA crystal material. And so this is the beginning of all this, and it, you know, reality works in an asymptotic way. We're going to, obviously, like the robots, like I said in my Cyborgs in the Forest video, all these robots, you know, there's one robot who can walk good, there's one robot who can sing good, there's one robot who can emotionally mimic human emotion and all this stuff, and they're all going to compress into one sort of perfect, if you will, robot, and it'll be a concrescence, something more complex than all the other robots or its environment. That's what a concrescence is. And, you know, Ray Kurzweil, he believes, you know, that famous futurist, the transcendent man they call him, you know, he believes that, what is it, like 2035 or something is the sort of singularity, technological singularity point. So that's when we might see that. And I mean, when I look at robots, yeah, that seems definitely a fair enough conclusion, that around that time we'll get sort of this humanoid robot thing, you know, and it'll be half biological, and I'm willing to bet it'll begin to get into these areas where we, like, you know, we're making it literally half bio, but the bio is then, you know, changed isotopy and, you know, all these crystalline structures they're making here, and etc. So that's interesting. I don't know exactly what we're watching. The animation shows the DNA brick self-assembly method devised by Weiss team in 2012. Now, 2 years later, the team has demonstrated that the same method can be used on a much larger scale to design precise DNA crystals with prescribed depth and features. It's very interesting what's going on here. So let's go into what I did find here. And this article was, thanks Elizabeth, from down here it says earthkeeper.com or something. I can't extend the screen down, hold on. There we go. From this article here. So you can look at that and type that into your browser. Crystalline materials stores and emits information. And this link was about crystal skulls. All crystalline minerals are both transmitters and receivers, you see, and all crystalline minerals are highly conscious and self-aware. Now, we've just watched self-assembly. You will also discover that the more you work with them, the more receptive they will become. Indeed, they meld forms between your consciousness and the conscious field of the crystal that will grow the more energy you devote. So that's right, they interact with you, and I've noticed that too. These are quite different tools from normal gems, crystals, and indeed, wow, great grammar here and spelling. These are quite different tools from normal gems. Crystals indeed serve a different role than that of the Phi crystals. Just as the Atlantean temple crystals had specific cuts for specific functions, so do the Phi crystals serve differing purposes. Now remember, this is a like channeling spiritual article sort of thing that we're reading. Yet all amplifying thought I actually think that, you know, the future resonances re-enter timelines, and, you know, Atlantia and Lumeria, these are future cities, and they'll have photonic, you know, photon computing, quantum computing walls, and everything, you know, and that's their real resonance. So when we begin to make buildings on Earth here, you know, in, I don't know, a couple of decades with crystal walls where the quantum computers are in the wall and you like talk to it and whatever, you probably, you know, telepathically can talk to them or something too to open the door. They'll have an interface where you sort of just, like how you're driving with your thoughts in those cars they're making now, well, you'll probably just open the door with your thought, and the crystal computer wall will pick up your thought. So, in my opinion, Atlanta and Lemuria are not in the past, and that's anachronistic to think that there was more complex society in the past. It's anachronistic. Why is it anachronistic? Because we know that the universe is a complexity creating and conserving machine. So it's anachronistic to say that there was something more complex behind us in linear 3D time. Anyway, let's keep reading. They amplify thought into coherency and enable a stronger auric field to enable crystalline light body, Merkaba, they're calling it. But other people know it as Merkaba. I'm not sure what the Na on there stands for. I might look into that soon, because Merkaba also stands for something, each little syllable there. Phi amplification and induction. We can say that Phi crystals are energy amplifiers that take one to the star seed. I don't know exactly what they mean there. While crystal skulls offer the calibration and knowledge of the original pattern, like, remember Veronica said that comment earlier, and offer codes received from higher sources. Like, I'm willing to bet that crystals pick up, a lot of stuff from stars that we do not, or that we don't make conscious, Okay, so while crystal skulls offer the calibration and knowledge of the original pattern and offer codes received from higher sources to be received by both the Earth and humanity, the former is the vehicle that moves and refines light energy, the latter the pattern and library. So the Phi crystals is the vehicle that moves and refines light energy. The crystal skulls are the pattern and the library, they're saying, I think. Well, for those seekers of Atlantean and Lemurian lineage to acquire both, indeed are there many benefits of working in tandem with both in this time of awakening. Both are tools that offer themselves and amplify and expedite the journey. Prototype, it's just a subheading. The original crystalline skull prototype contains an extraordinarily vast library. Now all crystals are like this, they're like a little library. Fully conscious, it says. All data, all records, all knowledge is stored and programmed in a most complex process within them, but the process and the infinite amount of information within are quite incomprehensible to you in polarity mind. Oh, you can tell this is channeled. It was conceived to contain within it an incredible frequency that is attached to the hologram. So the crystalline skull then is an honouring, remembrance and imbuing transmitter that indelibly prints within the soul and divine mind of humanity that which is the perfect model. Closing. Truly the crystal skulls are a reflection of the perfection in mankind. No idea what they're talking about. They have been so since the advent of duality Earth. Please explain. With the fall and dissolution of the original firmament. Please explain. Indeed, in year 2 of the new Earth, 2014 now, they are in phase 2 of their purpose. In just 2 years, righto. When mankind individually and the mass is ready to use these divine libraries to meld into perfection. I don't even want to finish this, but there's something to this, even though a lot of it's probably a bit of hullabub. Let's keep searching on the internet, see if I can find anything else. I'm just going to go for a quick Google. Google. Haven't you made my life better? Alright, what can crystals do? What does the Bible say about crystals? Yeah, they definitely can help you to heal. I mean, if you go sit on the grass and start grounding, you know, absorbing these negative electrons from the earth, and anti-oxidizing yourself that way, and you know, decoagulating your blood and all that. And you do it with crystals. It's going to, what I've noticed is sort of spike some energy to your third eye, or your crystal room, as the Taoists call the, you know, the Eye of Horus area. If you look at the Egyptian diagram of the Eye of Horus, you'll see the pineal in there and everything. But the Taoist shamans, they call it, you know, the crystal room, and I think that's very apt, because you know, the crystal children are said to be coming onto Earth now, and I did a video on crystal children. It's got nothing to do with how they look or outer appearance. It's that they have a switched on crystal room, essentially, and everything to them is crystal clear. They're not susceptible to brainwash. You could not brainwash one of them. Like, no matter how hard you really tried, they're like those people that are really not susceptible to hypnotics or you know, brainwash as much. So, and you'll see this, like I've met these kids, you know. Yeah, and I do think that crystals can like sort of help align your energies, and I don't know, they're doing something besides even just, you know, it's like they talk to your light body. So if you're an organic portal, a person, what we call a soulless human in the bottom 3 chakras, and who has not had the ascension, you know, the hearth, the earth heart, and then to the stars, I say it, through the crystal room and all that. Now, if you're an organic portal, or a surface person, and you think you are your 2D body, you know, you might not know or feel what I'm talking about until you have activated sort of higher chakras. Now, to me, with you know, a full Merkaba, a light body vehicle, and you know, my chakras work and all that, and I'm very aware of my chakras. I'm very sensitive to them now. I'm getting more and more sort of sensitive to it. But I notice that the crystals sort of like talk to my light body. I'll get sort of telepathic thoughts. Suddenly a thought will come into my head that I'm attributing to the crystal. It may sound a little far-fetched, or, you know, without evidence or something, but, and some sort of priori assumption and conclusion, but I don't think it is, because it's just like I'm that sensitive that I feel like I can feel things with my heart. Like if I close my eye, I can feel a wall. If I meditate for long enough, I can feel the difference between wood and metal and all this stuff with my heart field. And that actually was exasperated and enhanced by Salvia Divinorum, by the way, the Diviner's Mint, this psychedelic milligram effective hallucinogen, which is pretty similar to, in wackiness, well, no, it's not really similar to DMT, but it's milligram effective, so you get into that wacky area. Anyway, so I do think the crystals sort of talk to my light body, and now all language, all of our human language is created from telepathic light streams of communication. So we can definitely have language with crystals, I'm sure of it. I'm sure without any evidence of it, you know. I just know this, and so I'm going to say it and risk my career on it. What does the Bible say about crystals? Let's see. And in the Revelations 21:11, it shone with the glory of God, and its brilliance was like that of very precise jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. Is this a quote? Made of jasper, and the city of pure gold as pure as glass. I don't know what it's getting into here. Talking about a cultist. I don't see any real... Oh, here we go. Here's another one from in the Bible, another verse from Deuteronomy. I've never even read the Bible. I just got indoctrinated when I was like, you know, they get you young. I got indoctrinated into Bible class when I was in primary school in, I don't know, grade 3 or something. So how old was I then? Oh, maybe like 8 years old or something. They get you while you're young, mate. Anyway, when you enter the land the Lord of your God is giving you, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium or spiritist, or who consults the dead, shamans. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Interesting. I 100% disagree, so let's close down this article. Now, I know what they were getting at there, though. Whoever wrote that, whoever Detrimony is, or whatever that is, in that Bible verse, you know, God is God, and then everything else is, you can, in a way, think of it as, like, lower, you know, so that's maybe what they meant by that. Go straight to the source sort of thing, but I don't know about that. That's the only way I can interpret that jumble of crap that was just spoken. Science. Oh, it's a WordPress website, so it's just someone's website. Let's just go to this one lastly. I mean, we can just endlessly look over the internet, I'm sure. But, you know, consult your local shaman, consult your local healers of any kind, and ask them. People who work with crystals, ask them. Oh, that's good. That looks good. Oh, yeah. That looks very nice. Maybe I should take that picture. Yoink. A study has shown that the sensations reported by believers in crystals, such as tingling, warmth, and feelings of well-being, come instead from the power of suggestion. When given cheap fake crystals, people reported exactly the same mysterious sensation, so a placebo effect, they're saying here. Yeah, it's interesting though. I do, you know, even if it is placebo, if it works, well, do it then. If it's summoning more Kundalini or something, well, go for it. But, you know, it is always good to try things on the naturally as well. We don't want to just give away all our power to things made out of stuff, not even psychedelics. Now, I always talk about psychedelics because they're under-talked about, and they're so interesting. And they're on the edge of empirical evidency and our ontological, ethological sort of realizations of the universe. And they're at the forefront of epistemology, you know. So I always talk about them because they're so under-talked about, but it doesn't mean I think that the only way is the way of the psychedelian. No, I even say in other lectures, you know, I believe in the big three, I call them, or something. I forgot what I called them now. But, you know, self-education, which is, you know, self-experience, not just listening to others, and, you know, internet education, educating yourself. Self-education, then meditation, which I call Qui-Chi Yogatation, you know, and then psychedeliation, or taking plant and fungi hallucinogens. But, you know, and same thing with crystals. You might not always want to just rely on crystals or something, you know. The belief that quartz and semi-precious stones contain a subtle power unknown to science is a key part of the New Age industry. So here we go. I think they've got a bit of a thing against New Age people.
Now I am in that boat too. There's a lot of airheading, a lot of airhead New Age people, but there's something to it all as well. So there's two sides of the coin. It gives magical auras, vibrations and frequencies. I mean, I think it's true. I think we just haven't yet got the proper experimentations going. We shouldn't just be testing placebo. That's not how to test these things. We really want to delve into their structures. And there's going to be some sixth-dimensional sort of realization that's going to come out of crystal studies. So anyway, more importantly, Dr. French found no difference in the sensations reported by those holding a real quartz crystal and those given a fake. Believers in crystals were also twice as likely to report a sensation that self-professed skeptics. To report a sensation, so they're more likely to report a self-professed sort of sensation. The fact that the same effects were found with both genuine and fake crystals undermines any claims that crystals have the mysterious powers which they are claimed to have. So yeah, that's a reasonable conclusion there off a study like that. So sticking with this same article further down, it notes, make note that absolutely zero of these claims are founded on science, research or medical testing, that crystals are expected to treat or help treat AIDS, HIV, Alzheimer's, anorexia, seizures, depression, epilepsy, cancer, multiple sclerosis, scoliosis and tumours. Tumours, I could see that maybe we'll be doing some sort of sonic beam. Maybe we could do that with crystals to enhance it. But yeah, generally what they're saying here I kind of agree with, but not really, and I'll say why. Basically they have something to sell you no matter what you got. It really is disgusting and morally reprehensible, that these people claim that their rocks can cure your cancer with no proof, testing, efficacy, mechanism or plausibility. They are keeping people from going to real doctors by pushing this natural nonsense, and have the nerve to say that a rock can help treat AIDS. Charlatans. Well, what do I have to say about that paragraph? Well, you know, I'm tempted to agree. However, we don't know we barely know our biology. We don't know quantum dynamics. Tell me what happens in the double slit experiment. Or it's a wave particle duality, yeah, and then what? Tell me more. You know, most people can't. So we don't know our biology even, you know. Most people don't even know what glutathione does, or anthocyanins, or I don't know. You know, people barely know what antioxidants do and are. Most people don't know that they're pigments. Now, you know, we barely know our biology, our own body. We only just found out that there's 10 times more microbial life than cellular life that makes up our body. Now that's funny. You've got more bacteria on you than cells, so you're a bacteria ball. You human walking bacteria ball. And that shows you why you should stay away from like synthetic soaps and shower cream, what are they called, you know, body scrubs, because and that's why I use coconut oil infused with essential oil, because I don't want to kill my good bacteria, and I will bet you that the Human Bacterium Project finds out we have plenty of good bacteria. Otherwise we kind of wouldn't be alive, I should think, if we were all made of negative bacteria. So anyway, back to this. What do I have to say about that? Yeah, well, we barely know our own biology, let alone quantum dynamics, you know, and quantum physics. We barely know these areas. So to say that crystals can't help all of this list is the same as saying that it can. Do you see that? Because we don't know. What if there's some quantum dynamical link where the spin of the quark, or the spin of an electron or something around an atom, or you know, something is, or a valence shell is changed, or You know, if something is changed, the flavor of a particle or this or that, I don't know, if something is changed quantum dynamically, you know, the sort of seventh dimensional tunnel harmonics I would be looking at, and the tunnel mathematics, you know, part of the why the wave ends up in a particle. Maybe that is connected to crystal healing. Maybe crystals can heal in that way. Every single one of this list, I don't know. So I'm not going to say, you know, they're all charlatans, because when I see something in the human psyche, I know it's not there for no reason. The universe is not happenstance. I know there's something to it. Even if 99% of it's bullcrap, you know, 1% might be alchemical gold. So, you know, to me, that's a very, very organic portal viewpoint. It's a very surface person viewpoint. This is how the organic portals see the world, from the surface. That's it. They are the surface. That's the whole reason we call them 2D or 3D people. In actual fact, we are multidimensional beings, and they have just sort of gotten lost. They're lost along the way. Now, you know, like I said, to say that crystals can heal this list is the exact same as saying that they can't, because we don't know. That's why the same thing with psychedelics. A lot of stuff about psychedelics we don't yet know. Now, more evidence is showing that psychedelics are good for us, and more evidence, in my opinion, showing that crystals are good for us. And another thing I'd like to add is, if you remember my note, the stones note I brought up earlier in bensnotes.weebly.com, my domain, or one of my domains, part of consciousazine productions, that stones note, notice every stone had a different colour, and they were talking about how it did different things for you. That's because everything, not just stones, every different tree, every wood and metal, everything has a different energy. So, you know, I find this paragraph here really kind of disgusting. So he's calling them charlatans and disgusting. Well, I'm calling this author disgusting for making a priori assumption. And he should know what that means in science, because that's exactly what he's doing. Just because there's no evidence on something doesn't mean that, you know, it doesn't work. It just means we maybe haven't found it yet. So I just want everyone to keep their mind sort of open, rather than close it down to an organic portal viewpoint and scientific reductionist statistical babble viewpoint, you know. We don't want to get into, we don't want to trek into that. It's making a smaller, harder, denser reality, and that's what the Black Alliance, people who make up the ignorant surface area of Earth, rather than those like me who are the sphere of understanding expanding, those who are the surface area of the sphere of understanding, the surface area of ignorance, well, you know, you guys need to realize what you're doing. You're being the surface area of ignorance sometimes by saying, by coming to priori conclusions on scientific reductionist sort of principles. We don't know a lot of shit. In other words, you like Terence McKenna said, you can't measure the universe is not measured by the neural net of a monkey. So I just wanted to take you to the Earth Science page, which is there, because it's got some cool pictures. In the meantime, while that loads, I thought this was funny. Nothing can take the sting out of the world's economic problems like watching millionaires give each other golden statues. Oh, Christ. Anyway, I found a really good quote here. I just typed in crystal quotes, and I found one by Nikola Tesla. In a crystal we have the clear evidence of the existence of a formative life principle, and though we cannot understand the life of a crystal, it is nonetheless a living being. Nikola Tesla. And I don't think there's any other ones, but yeah, I thought that one was worth putting in here. Good old Nikola. Oh, that'll do. Anyway, let's go to the Earth Science page,
millions of forms of life in a few drops of water. So let's stop turning Earth into Mars, for Christ's sake. Look at this. This is an opal. Fire opal. Wow. Lovely. This one is a largest freeform black opal. Oh man, that looks nice. See, when I was a kid, I remember I was just really into rocks. I still got the rocks from when I was a kid. There's not many, but there's all these different rocks, and I knew then that there was something about them, and they had different, you know, energies. And there was one time I got a banana agate. Now I think I still got this one, and I can put it in the eye of my hand, and it really clears me out. I don't know how to describe the clearing out yet, because I don't do much crystal work. I don't do much work with crystals and stones yet, but I will when I'm older. But I do know when I put this agate in the middle of my hand, all of the nervous system problems there, I won't say it that way, sorry, any nervous pain that's there, it's almost like a grounding effect. It's almost like when I go sit on the grass, it just goes. But it's different. It's not just a washing off, because the free electrons washing over from earthing. It's more of a it's not even a tingling, it's like a crackling tingling, you know, like it's really pushing through the little blocks. Look at this. Malachite is a copper carbonate hydroxide mineral with that formula there, and look at that, spectacular. And I mean, what's not cool? This is cool. I'd love to have that in my home. So I mean, just to have them around you, just by looking at them, and the colour therapy. Even the colour therapy is therapeutic about crystals and stones, you know, even if you don't want to get into any of the energetic properties. This one, rainbow rock. Radiolarian and diatom compaction in chert, and in other rock types as well. Radiolarians are amoeba-like protozoa with mineral skeletons which cover large portions of the sea floor. Diatoms are a form of algae encased in a unique form of silica. Both radiolarians and diatoms date back to the Cambrian period, about 542 to 488 million years ago. Wow, that's amazing. Again, I'd love to have that in my home. Just for looking at it, it clears my third eye. Just the colour therapy, it's therapeutic. It's like aromatherapy. Well, you got rock colour therapy. Ooh, what's that one? Scientists have confirmed a zircon crystal discovered in Western Australia is the Earth's oldest known rock, dated at 4.374 billion years old. Wow, you know, even if the carbon dating isn't accurate, like some people proclaim, it's old. You know, if it comes up as 4 billion years old, that's a big difference to just 3 million years old, isn't it? So either way, it's very, very old. The discovery has huge implications for our understanding of how the planet formed, and suggests the Earth began developing a crust far sooner than previously thought. So there you go, you can get a lot out of crystals. Even you scientist-like people can get a lot from the crystals. Something about fragments of blue-coloured mineral called ringwoodite synthesized in the laboratory. To verify the theory, the team then attempted to replicate the ringwoodite layer in the laboratory. They found that ringwoodite attracts hydrogen and that it's capable of absorbing water, much like a sponge. Interesting. Banded tiger iron port Headland, Western Australia. So that's from Port Hedland, Australia, called Tiger Iron. Nice. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys those rocks as well. There's more on the hippie page. We could go to the hippie page. So there's all sorts of gems lying around consciousazine. So have a gaze, have a good gander, have a good look at all of consciousazine, not the pages that just interest you, because I don't really adhere to a really tight taxonomical sort of ordering. It's all interwoven, and it's my belief that you should sort of view all the pages in consciousazine, not just say the one that most interests you or something, because there'll be information on that page that most interests you on other pages as well. Let's hope the Stone Age internet, pardon the pun, will get us to this next page. Oh, there we go. Good work. Alright. Oh, come on. You're partly loaded. Oh yeah, the crystal caves. I forgot about them. Look at these caves. They're amazing, hey? Found deep inside a mine in southern Chihuahua, this giant cave contains some of the largest natural crystals ever found. And apparently you can't stay in there for very long. Oh yeah, it says it here. The cave is extremely hot, with air temperatures reaching up to 58 degrees Celsius. So again, if crystals can heat things up, they might work with Qi or Chi energy, right? Maybe they work with Chi, and I know from meditating that Chi can deal with a whole host of biological dense second dimensional body, mineral body, real biological end of our body spectrum of illnesses, you know, just the Qi energy. And that's not even mentioning Shen or Wu Ji or Jing energies. So, you know, if that cave's that hot because of those crystals, it might crystals might work with Qi energy really well. And come to think of it, I think it does really. When I hold a crystal, it gives me a little bit of a Qi. Qi has got to do with how we mobilize energy. I heard that from David Wolfe, and I kind of agree. And you know, Mantak Chia is the guy to go to learn about Qi if you don't know anything about it, to start off with, and he'll show you many Qi techniques. I actually had to replicate one of his meditations, the microcosmic orbit, because someone took down his video for copyright. I don't know what that was all about. Anyway, wow, look at that. That's a nice looking circle. I'd like to sit there and meditate beside that, even if it is just placebo. And that kind of thing can happen. Who doesn't want that? Why don't you want it? Anyway, so there's gemstones on here, on this page as well. All sorts of exotic stones, and you can just see how many different ones there are. Of course they can do things. There's probably just as much variety in the stones as there is in the plants or whatever, you know. And as we know, many plants are healing us. So what if we just are so inept in energetic healing that we don't realize how to use these tools? Like, we are starting to know how to use many plants for treating cancer, for instance. Well, what if these can be indeed used to heal cancer, but we're just stupid and don't realize how? And that these so-called charlatans, or, you know, hippie new age people, are at least having a go and trying it, so we shouldn't put them down. How about that angle? Oh, and here's something on orgone. Now, I don't really want to get into the orgone thing, and I haven't researched it fully in depth, but these are good little infograms. So it says 50% organic resin, 50% metal shavings at the there in the middle bottom, copper spiral, quartz crystal is in there, positive energy tissue regeneration, they're saying, and then the negative energy out is at the bottom. Negative energy oxidized the blood and tissues. Well, that's weird, because they're saying negative electrons is what's coming over us when we're grounding, so maybe they've got that back to front because they like the word positive, I don't know. But I've heard many benefits of these, and look at the pretty things that people are making. Well, that's cool.
I like it. I have not used them yet, so I can't... Oh, nice picture. I don't know why that's like that. But that element's broken. You know, I haven't worked with these orgonite structures yet, so I can't really comment too much on there. But they're saying that it sort of pulls in... Well, the negative energy might be the static that I was talking about, and then so it would be a clearing of static effect you would maybe feel, I think. I'm guessing. So yeah, there you go. All sorts of stuff we have in the mineral domain, in the building blocks of variety, the second dimension of physical reality. And then that goes to my stones note. So anyway, I hope you learned something from today's talk. Now, I'm going to put this in both the consciousazine playlist and the $30 Bandit food plant teaching playlist. That's why I made this video so long, because I wanted to kind of comprehensively cover crystals a little, not just make a really glib video on it. And I agree with this. We are drowning in information while starving for wisdom.
On Terra, witness the acceleration of consciousness as humanity is mobilized to action and revolution. The indigo revolution comes when it is quiet, in the silence behind the scenes, where no one is aware of their designs and their reasons. The indigos mix within every race and family. They are the future and communicate telepathically. They know it is time.